lose your cool. You'll start to sweat and feel your legs and toes go numb and all. So move your arms and hands as if you play the drums and all. Hi-hat, let me see you try that. Tonight we partying hard. So
I don't know how long I have to do this for because it's still not showing up on my stream. So if you could see me now, just let me know. Because I'm just dancing. I think, okay, good. I think my screen's actually doing it. There we go. There we go. But yes, hello everybody. Alright, so, wait, sorry. Time to mute that. Okay. Hi everybody, I know I got the music going on the background. Let me turn it down a little bit. I figured I could I'd do something fun. Oh, thank you very much, Caroline. I really appreciate that. How is everyone? I'm finally something exciting and happy going on in at least right now. Yes, I've hit 10K subscribers. I hit it yesterday. I'm very excited and very pleased with that. It doesn't really give me much in terms of YouTube stuff, but I'm very excited and very happy with it. So I want to say thank you to everyone out there. I hope the dance party music is the proper celebration. But thank you to all of you for supporting me and being with me on this channel and this journey and helping me get to this milestone. I did not think I would actually hit this when I was doing this when I first started. So this is very much a thank you to everybody, to all of you for being there for me and for being with me on this journey on this channel. All right, I'm going to change off the music because that's probably getting tiring for all of you. And I'm sure I got demonetized for that. But let us see what everyone wants to talk about tonight. And also, since this is a live stream, that does mean I have to drink. Thank you everybody in the chat. I see everyone saying congrats. Thank you so much. Hello from Bitburg, Germany. And Alita, by the way, I know I said it in the chat already, but congratulations on coming out to your family. I hope everything went well. Congratulations to you. And thank you, Maggie, for saying you're proud of me. I really appreciate that. And Maggie, you've been one of my subscribers here from the beginning. Also, I know Dash, I saw you earlier. Anna, by the way, nice to see you here. Thank you so much. Galvion, hi, nice to see you there. Nice to see everybody. I'm just sort of grabbing people. Cass, oh, thank you very much, Cass. I really appreciate that. Thank you for the super chat. All right, well, let's start off the celebration right and get some Irish cream in me. Let's see if I can do it on screen. My cord. I'm not even drunk yet. But here we are. I don't have a wine glass because I was lazy and didn't want to go to the kitchen for it in my parents' building. So we're just going to drink out of a coffee cup like a true Irish coffee without the coffee. So, cheers to all of you, and thank you, Alita. Love you as well. I really appreciate that. Jason, I saw that you upped your Patreon level. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. The cord wants to drink. No, the mug is actually a branded mug from my parents' bed and breakfast. I'm gonna actually. Maybe you already caught it on the screen, but I'm going to actually try not to share the logo, but just for safety so I don't get doxxed or anything. I don't think any of you would, but some point down the line it might be an issue, and I don't want to give them any help in that. But this is it's not a Ractogino mug, it's a branded mug from my parents' thing. I know you like a good Star Trek quote, so allow me to use one for once. I have been and always will be your friend. Oh, well, thank you so much, Maggie. I really appreciate that. And also, why would you use that quote? Because that would always get me in the feels. And such a punch in the feels sort of feeling. So thank you. Congrats from DS9. Quark sends his regards. And his bill, I'm sure. Oh, Ringworld. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Also, that fox is adorable. Thank you so much. Yeah, I love these mugs. They're very much like mead mugs, like Lord of the Rings mugs. That's actually a great catch, Seal. I really appreciate that. And thanks, Dash. I am glad I got to get out of town. It's much better being here in New Mexico than LA, right? LA right now, I didn't have an air conditioner. I need to buy one. So that's the thing I need to afford. But no, I didn't have an air conditioner. So right before I left to come here, it was like burning hot. And here, at least, it's not like 1,000 degrees. And actually, it's quite cold at night. My family, we were actually watching. I actually showed them Star Trek Discovery last night. We have a projector, so it's like a drive-in movie out here in the backyard that they have for. They have actually a big property because it's a bed and breakfast. And I was showing them some Star Trek Discovery on a big like drive-in screen. It was great. And my stepmom was like, "That's not Spock." She was showing her Ethan Spector. It's like, "That's not Spock," and she was very upset. But then she grew to love him by the end, which I thought was wonderful. They liked it. I only showed them some of the short treks because they didn't want to watch a whole episode. But I was showing them some of the short treks for Star Trek Discovery, and I'm aiming maybe tonight, but at some point in the next couple of days, I'm going to show them. I'm probably going to start them off at season 2. I like season 1 of Discovery, but I think my dad, he doesn't like darker things. He's always been like, I like positive, happy stuff. So I think starting off on season 2 of Discovery will be a sort of a good place, and then maybe I can get them to retroactively watch season 1. Yeah, New Mexico is nice. I really like it. I mean, the desert isn't necessarily my aesthetic. I like being in forest because I grew up in New York, and I used to spend my summers in the Adirondacks. And I would spend 2 months every summer in the Adirondacks working as a Boy Scout camp counselor, ironically enough. Boy Scouts, I definitely turned out wrong for the Boy Scouts. But yeah, I worked as a Boy Scout camp counselor. So desert isn't necessarily my aesthetic, but I do like it. Caroline, yes. Did you watch all their series of the parents as well? No, my dad actually is the one that got me into Star Trek. And what's funny is I was trying to. So what was funny last night is my dad likes to be the one to talk and explain and tell things. So my stepmom, she just has like the most cultural cursory knowledge of Star Trek. My dad knows everything pretty much up until Enterprise, pretty deeply. He didn't watch as much of Enterprise, but he does know everything. And so he. So what was funny is I was like trying to set up the projector, and he was like trying to explain like Enterprise and Discovery and everything to my stepmom, but he's getting so many things wrong. And I kept interrupting. He's like, "Don't interrupt me. I can do this. I can get this." And he just like kept like trying to explain Star Trek to my stepmom, like the history, like 50 years of history to like get to like explain what Discovery is in his mind, having never seen it. And it was just absolutely hilarious. Seal says, then he spoke and she changed her mind. He changed her mind. It's a voice that really makes a difference. Peck sounds like Spock, like Quinto really doesn't. Yeah, I like Quinto's Spock quite a bit. I think he does a very strong job, like getting the mannerisms. But Ethan Peck just, he's like, nothing against Quinto. I love Quinto. He was an actor I grew up with. Like I loved him as Siler, and I did love his Spock. But I think Ethan Peck just so nails Leonard Nimoy Spock, but also still making his version of Spock his own. So I really think he just does a great. Hey, Carowin, nice to see you here. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the congrats. New Mexico has 2 national forests, a huge bid reserve, and a ton of campground to enjoy. Ooh, that's good to know, actually. I wonder if I'd have to check and see if it's actually open during everything right now, though everything's opening up, which is its own conversation we could have another day. Yeah, maybe I'll have to check it out. Quinto does have a good face. I mean, he does have a wonderful face. My mom despises Star Trek. This is Remy. My mom despises Star Trek, and there's me with hyperfixation on it. My dad would watch Star Trek every time with TV on with it every day. That's hilarious. Yeah, my stepmom never got, my actual mom, because my parents are divorced, so I see them separately. My actual mom never got Star Trek. She never understood, never watched it. My stepmom will give it a go, but she didn't love it. Captain Mop, thank you. Also, by the way, I love your Captain Mop, your logo, your image there is really cool. The like trans Star Trek flag. I wish I could see it in bigger detail, but Captain Mop, your profile pic is great. Hey, Philip Hawkins. By the way, Philip Hawkins, I always love to promote people. Philip Hawkins is another wonderful YouTuber here on the YouTubes. And so if you haven't checked out, if you like my channel, check out Philip Hawkins' channel because he's absolutely wonderful. But let me see what he has to say. But I just want to make sure I promote him because I love Philip Hawkins' stuff. You'll have to forgive me. I just stopped watching your Last of Us video halfway through, but it was because I noticed this stream had started. Yeah, it's a kind of a weird dichotomy. My Last of Us video today, I really wanted to talk about it, but yeah, the Last of Us video today wasn't exactly the most positive of videos, but I felt like it needed to be talked about because I thought I would see something on like Kotaku at least, or Polygon usually covers stories like that, but maybe I missed it, but I didn't see Polygon or Kotaku or anyone covering that stuff. And maybe Rightless Joe, maybe they just didn't want to draw attention to people being jerks, but I don't know. I thought it was, if no one was going to talk about it, I feel like I at least needed to, so I don't want to focus on it too much, but I feel like I needed to talk about what was going on in The Last of Us right now. Homebody says I turned my dad onto Voyager. Voyager's great. I need to go back and rewatch all of it through. Right now I'm doing an Enterprise. I just started Deep Space Nine rewatch, but one of my Patreons asked me to do a review of Babylon 5, the pilot episode. So I just rewatched Babylon 5 episode 1 today. And so I got like kind of now I'm like, oh God, I love Deep Space Nine, but Babylon 5 is so good. And it's been over a decade since I watched it. So maybe it's about time I rewatched Babylon 5. So I'm in the middle of a bunch of rewatches. I don't know why I got on that tangent. Christy, nice to see you here. You're on your way to being able to forget us little people. I will never forget you, Christy. Don't worry. Which, by the way, contact me. We need to do our second video. Also, to promote Christy, by the way, is another YouTuber who does wonderful interviews with really great people here on the YouTube. She's done interviews with me. She's done interviews with Steve Shives. I know a lot of you know Steve. And I know she's done a bunch of interviews with a bunch of other people. So check out Christy's channel. She is absolutely wonderful, and she does a podcast that I've also been on. So Pedro says, last time I said I was desperate with life, but I'm glad to be here today. Just received a visit from my baby daughter and her mom. Now I'm glad to celebrate your success. Oh, well, thank you, Pedro. And I'm glad that things are at least doing better right now. So thank you for celebrating with me, and I'm glad that things are doing better for you, at least right now, and that you got to see your kid. Oh, John, thank you so much. Congratulations, a well-deserved milestone. I'm happy to be able to support this channel where I can. Love your content and your outlook. Thank you so much, John. I really appreciate that, and thank you for that. Yes, and I see people sending some love for Steve Shives. I adore Steve. Oh, God. Can I? All right, well, I know this is going to be public, but if I share something, will you guys keep it quiet because it's coming out this Friday, and I don't want to spoil the surprise for all the non-live stream watchers. That has to do with Steve Shives. So let's just say this Friday is a video that is coming out this Friday that I am super proud of. It's probably one of the videos that, it may not be my best video, but it's one I'm super excited for and super happy with. And let's just say 2 YouTubers make guest appearances in the video, and it's one of them happens to rhyme with leave lives. So someone who rhymes with leave lives may be appearing in a video coming out on Friday, and someone else. And Maggie, Steve Shives. If you like me, you will like Steve Shives. Steve is a fantastic Star Trek YouTuber, and he does other politics stuff. He mainly he does like half politics, half Star Trek, and ties Star Trek in with politics and stuff. So his videos are fantastic. So if you don't know Steve, check out Steve. He's actually great, and he's a great trans ally too. Absolutely, like the reason that my channel has gotten as big, like, I should say right here, without Steve Shives, my channel would not be at 10K. So he's a fantastic ally to me, to the trans community. Also, Steven Stuffy is great. Steven Stuffy is like my comfort food right now. Every Friday when he releases a Steven Stuffy, I'm like, it's his like kind of show with stuffed animals that Steve does, but it's still political. It's like, it's just political enough that I feel like I'm like, yeah, let's politics. But like just like animal, like off topic enough that it's like, oh, I can like enjoy the like really soft stuff on it. So Steve is wonderful. Steve is easily one of the best humans that I've met in the YouTube space. He's an absolutely fantastic guy. Oh my gosh, Jesse and Steve debate over Voyager. I will debate anyone. To be fair, I don't necessarily disagree with Steve on Voyager. I think he's generally got a good idea, but I think he's more overall negative on it, whereas I see a lot more positive in Voyager. I think the interesting thing with both Voyager and Enterprise, is like when you caught it. Because the big problem with Voyager and Enterprise, there's other problems here and there too, like Voyager and Enterprise not really fully following through on their concepts of like, oh, they're doing other things. But we're looking at individual episodes of Voyager and Enterprise. And the big problem is a lot of the episodes that they did were sort of redoing older episodes of Star Trek and adding like a little twist and new twist on it here and there. So like a lot of redoing what Next Generation and even Deep Space Nine or even the original series had done. But if that was your first time watching it, those episodes are great. They're absolutely fantastic. But if you had already seen Next Generation, you're like, I've seen this episode. So it just kind of depends on when and where you caught Voyager and Deep Space Nine. I caught Voyager was one of my first shows of Star Trek. So, it's a sort of a good way to, like, that's probably why a lot of people hated it. I only clicked on Steve's videos because it was green from the This Is Trans Friendly app I'm glad I clicked. Oh, I didn't know there was a trans friendly app. And yeah, Steve's hugely trans friendly. Just hugely. It's weird that I never really got into Enterprise, which in a way was a kindness. It meant Star Trek tapered off from me rather than coming to an abrupt halt. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I'm doing a rewatch of Enterprise right now, and I am one of those people that has the biggest affection for Enterprise. Adore it. Fantastic show. Well, let me get to what I'm saying. I've had alcohol, so forgive me if I go on tangents. It's a good show, but the first season, watching season 2 right now, and I'm like, there's a lot of just, I don't think it ever really gets bad. There's only an episode here or there, like Night in Sickbay, that's bad, but it never, like, there's only, most of the episodes are just kind of like, yeah, it was fine. That was a way to spend an hour, which is what I'm down for right now. I kind of need comfort food, but it's never fantastic. There's a few episodes that are fantastic. And then when you get to seasons 3 and 4 of Enterprise, that's where it gets actually fantastic. I think 3 and 4 are just overall stellar seasons. Where seasons 1 and 2 have great episodes, like Shuttlepod 1 or the Andorian Incident. Those are really great. But overall, everything's just kind of like baseline, like, yeah, that was fine. So I think that's sort of the biggest problem. And it's kind of sad when you read about where Enterprise was originally started. Like, they wanted Enterprise to be much more be much more gritty than it was. Like, Brannon Braga really, really wanted it to be gritty. Wanted to be like, oh, the ship is going to get damaged and it's not going to be able to get repaired week to week. So every week, like, the ship will be a little bit more damaged and they just won't be able to repair things because they can't go out and fix it as easily. Excuse me. But the studio kind of wanted them to have more, a more like week episode, like standard Star Trek feel to it. So they kind of lost out on that stuff, and it would have been ahead of its time. It would have been like before Battlestar Galactica and things like that, but it was kind of sad that they weren't able to follow through on a lot of the ideas that I think they did well. And I do, Christy, I saw Christy, you said, you like A Night in Sickbay. Night in Sickbay is hilarious for how weird and bad, and it's weird. It's weird. There's literally a scene where Archer has a dream of his dog's funeral. Phlox is giving a eulogy about the dog, and he starts ranting about cheese farts, and T'Pol having, Archer having sexual tension with T'Pol, like, over, he's like, in sexual tension, he, like, starts ranting about it. I'm like, this is strange. Oh, gosh, I have a revolution going on with Christy. Gonna fight me on Night in Sickbay. It's a so bad it's good episode. It is very funny. It's like in there with Threshold where it's like, oh, this is just bad. But like excuse me, I'm burping a lot. Apologies. It's so bad it's good episode. Where there's some episodes of Star Trek. The biggest problem I have with it, like I've always talked about, I really like things that are like cohesively bad. I'd rather something really bad or interesting or like take a swing at something and fail than just being kind of bland. And the biggest problem with the early season of Enterprise is there's just a lot of episodes that are like, sure, that was an episode of TV. Cool. It wasn't bad, but I forgot it instantly. So I think that's sort of the biggest problem with early Enterprise. And then it gets much better. And Strand, yeah, Chris, I agree. Strand is amazing. Homebody, you just reread Spock's World. That's amazing. I love Spock's World. It's been a while since I've read it. I know I promoted it a little while ago, but Spock's Brain, my birthday 3 years ago, might have been 2 or 3 years ago. I invited a bunch of friends over for my birthday, and we got drunk, and we watched Star Trek V and then Spock's Brain, which I think is the best way to celebrate your birthday. Just drunkenly watching Star Trek V and Spock's Brain it's a wonderful night. It really is a wonderful night. Because even, like, I feel like Star Trek at its worst is still watchable and enjoyable. Like, Spock's Brain is hilariously bad. It's just so much fun. I don't know. I do enjoy the so bad it's good stuff. And even like, but like what I like about Star Trek V even is like, there's still kernels of good stuff in there. Like everyone's like, Star Trek V is awful. And I'm like sitting here and being, you know what? Star Trek V is bad, but it's not a catastrophe. I think the ending is the only thing that's catastrophe. And that really isn't William Shatner's fault. Cause he just ran out, they wouldn't give him the money to do the ideas he had. So they had to like throw out so much and it became this like weird floating head thing. But like, the scene with McCoy in Star Trek V is great. The scene with I actually enjoyed this. Is like weird and funny as it is. I thought the camping scene in Star Trek V is actually really endearing. In fact, we have campfires here with my family every night so far, and I want to get I wish I had the like s'more holder, the marshmallow holder that Spock had. I want to do a video where I like recreate that scene, but we'll see if I actually get a chance to do it. I am definitely going to do one of the videos I'm planning to do over the next few weeks is an inspiration of the stars, because I've been just enjoying like being outside of LA and getting to see the night sky again. And it just reminds me how much I'm inspired. Like we have hammocks here, and I've been like lying out in a hammock listening to books on tape and Star Trek stuff and music, and just like remembering what inspires me. And so I want to do a video where I talk about why the stars inspire me and why nighttime inspires me. So I think I'll do a video on that. What does God need with a starship? They did actually sell those marshmallow dispensers as merch. I did want one. I wanted one really bad, but what are you going to do? All right, well, my drink is out, so I'm going to get a little bit more. Anyone have any other topics they want to discuss? If anyone wants me to discuss anything, I'll throw it out. Got some more alcohol. Cheers. Clink. What's your opinion on Star Trek the Motion Picture? A couple years ago, my mom and I watched it together for the first time and thought the 5-minute Enterprise scene was hilarious. Bad. It is bad. But I will go to bat for Star Trek the Motion Picture. The problem with Star Trek the Motion Picture, I did a video on it where I think like what I love about Star Trek the Motion Picture is it actually is one of the deepest. I think it's actually one of the deepest movies of the original series crew. It's the one that feels most like an episode of the original show. All the other movies are great, don't get me wrong. And the motion picture is not, I wouldn't put it in like my top 5. But I think the motion picture is one of those movies that like aims to have like a really, really strong thematic and like deeply philosophical theme to it. And I think if you look at it through the lens, and I did a video on it, if you haven't seen my video on it, go check it out. Where if you look at it through the theme of like sexuality and like a sexual analysis, a queer analysis of Star Trek the Motion Picture, you get a lot out of it. You get a lot of really deep theming in that movie. The problem with it is, and I think the other Star Trek movies capitalized on this, is that the character work in it feels stiff. The original series, like Kirk, Spock, McCoy had such banter and such like fun back and forth, and they felt like fully like human might be the wrong term, but like fully fleshed out real characters that like bantered and joked back and forth, and all of the humor kind of was taken out of the motion picture. There's a couple jokes here and there, but generally it feels very dry, and I think that's what kind of makes it hard. And then the extended like look at all the special effects we have stuff that like Paramount paid, or whatever the studio was at the time, I forget the studio, but they had such a problem getting the effects. They had to like switch houses midway through. So then we're like, well, we're not cutting any of the special effects. We paid so much freaking money for them. So it just feels indulgent when it's really like they paid a lot for it. So they wanted to like at least show off what they paid for. But like it's just a little bit dry And I think that's what makes it a little bit hard to do it. But I think in terms of intelligent thoughtfulness, it's there. This Glorious Clockwork. Oh my gosh. You're actually in my live stream. Welcome. Hi. How are you? This Glorious Clockwork is... I'm going to promote people because I always promote people. This Glorious Clockwork is a actual friend of mine who I know in like hanging out day-to-day life. He is a fantastic human being. One of my favorite people that I've ever met in my life, and he just started a really cool YouTube channel discussing like how biology works and getting inspired by science and technology and things. So if you are interested in like learning about science from a person who is so enthusiastic about it, like literally I helped him film one of his episodes for This Glorious Clockwork, and he is, I don't know if I'm allowed to say your actual name, so I won't say your actual name, This Glorious Clockwork. But he is one of the most impassioned people when it comes to this stuff that I've ever met in my life. If you consider me being passionate, This Glorious Clockwork is one of the most passionate people. So please go and give his channel a subscribe. He only has one video up because he spends a lot of time making sure they're excellent. But I think he is one of the best humans and well-deserving of your subscribe and your time. So please check out Glorious Clockwork. So, and Clockwork, I want to have you on my live stream. I know we talked about maybe having you on this week, but because I got to 10K, let's do a celebration of that. But next week, let's talk about that. I'm getting you on here so we can talk about stuff. Philip Hawkins asked, do you watch Arrowverse shows? If so, what do you think of the Dreamer, a trans superhero storyline? So I actually watch all of the Arrowverse shows. They're like oh God, it becomes so time consuming at this point. I love them. A lot of them start off strong and I think kind of peter out. I think the only show that stayed consistently strong is Legends of Tomorrow, and even that started off bad and got great. Now I just watch all the Arrowverse shows because I'm a DC Comics fan. When it comes to Dreamer, I've talked about her before. I could rant about Dreamer for too long, so I don't want to get too far into her storyline. But I think if you want to hear my deep thoughts on Dreamer, I actually was just on a podcast 2 weeks ago called Secular Sexuality, and towards the end of that podcast, I rant for like 15 minutes about why I love Dreamer in the Arrowverse. So if you want to hear my thoughts on why I love Dreamer, go check out Secular Sexuality's podcast that I talk about that. But just generally, I think that they do a great job with Dreamer in that show. I really love the fact that she is a trans superhero, but her transness is not front and center, but it's not incidental. There are a couple storylines and times where her transness is brought up, but they don't necessarily like focus on her transness as their main topic. Caroline Katharina asks, do you have more short sci-fi movies for us in store? So I've only directed 2 shorts, one of which I shared Solve on here. But in terms of short, I only did another one called Together, which was years and years ago that I filmed that. I do have another short film that I want to do that once all this corona craziness is done and the world settles down and I'm actually able to like fund it, I do have a short film that I want to do that's focused on trans issues. That's a sci-fi trans story, kind of like a Black Mirror trans issue story that I've written out that I'm very, very excited about. So maybe in the next year or two, if things settle down, I'm actually able to fund it. That'll be a short film that I'll be working on. I would love Jesse to review the motion picture novel by Gene Roddenberry. A lot of character development, LOL. Oh yeah, that novel is the novel that Gene Roddenberry wrote about motion picture is a fantastic, interesting beast. Mostly because what was I gonna say about it? It showcases Roddenberry's really like focus on sex. There's so much sex in Gene Roddenberry's motion picture analysis. It takes all the like subtext of the motion picture. Like the motion picture has all this subtext in it about like sex and sexuality and things like that. And Gene Roddenberry just takes it and like makes it text. Like that whole book is like, I think literally Ilea, the probe Ilea gets he has I'm going to choose my language here, but he basically fucks her back into sentience. Like Decker fucks the Ilea probe into sentience in the motion picture novel. It's Roddenberry, he's a horny dude. Hey, Jesse Gender, if you had the job to create a new alien species in Star Trek universe, how would it be? Interesting. That is a good question. I actually really like that. I do have a Star Trek show pitch that I have, but the show pitch I have mostly focuses on older races that we've already seen in Star Trek before. I mean, the interesting thing with Star Trek aliens is that the best ones are kind of done like, follow me here, are kind of done like horror movie characters, like horror movie monsters. The way horror movie monsters work is that, the best ones at least, is that a horror movie monster takes a human feeling, anxiety, fear, social thing, and makes it kind of real. So, like, for example, a good example is It Follows. The horror movie monster in that is our fear of the stranger, the fear of STDs as well, sexually transmitted diseases. You have the Babadook, which is our depression and anxiety. Those are all like horror movie monsters that encapsulate like an idea of humanity. And the same goes for Star Trek aliens. When you look at Spock, he's a character who is like torn between humanity and emotion. So the best alien is a sort of evolving of our like logic side of humanity. Saru, I think, is another great example. He's a character who is defined by his anxiety. He shows us what our anxiety is like, because all anxiety in a lot of ways comes down to fear of death and fear of putting ourselves in harm's way and making ourselves put into situations that may go badly, and so we worry about that and sort of being future focused to a bad degree. And so Saru works, I think, because he is that sort of anxiety. So if I was creating a Star Trek character, alien, I'd have to think about like what is a human emotion or taboo or idea that I could place into a alien context. And I wouldn't want it to be representative of an identity, because that's the problem you get into like with gender stuff. Like you had the Janai, who are like non-binary aliens, and that's an identity. And I wouldn't want an alien to be representative of an identity that actually exists in humanity. So I don't want like to have like Klingons are representative of Japanese people. So I wouldn't want to use the Klingons I wouldn't want to go like the Klingons and be like, oh look, it's like Japanese representation in alien form. So it'd have to be a human emotion. And I'd have to think about what that is. Dysphoria, maybe? Actually, that's not bad a move. Ooh, okay. If I was to create an alien, it would be an alien. This is just me spitballing here randomly. Sorry, I'm missing a lot of questions, so apologies here. But if I was developing an alien, it wouldn't be a shapeshifter per se, but it would be an alien that every so often its body would have to shift and change, kind of like the Doctor in Doctor Who. But when it shifts bodies, it doesn't always feel comfortable in those bodies. It doesn't always feel right in those bodies. And so it would kind of be like the Trill, but they would have less of a choice in the matter. Like maybe they evolve that might be a good way. They evolve really quickly they adapt to environments really quickly. And so, they adapt to environments really quickly, and so they don't always like the changes that they have to go through. So like if they go on an away mission and it's a cold planet, they like get hotter skin or something. It makes them uncomfortable when they come up to the planet. Something like that. I think that would be kind of interesting. But anyways, that's my idea for things. I ranted about that for a while, and I kind of missed a lot of the questions going on here. So apologies if I missed your question. Feel free to resend your question if I missed a question. Where would you recommend a complete newbie to Star Trek to start Star Trek? Also, have you read the Doctor Who TNG crossover? It depends on what you're looking for Star Trek in terms of where you want to go. If you want to like start at modern Trek and like you need a more modern aesthetic, I would recommend starting with Discovery. Discovery Season 1 or even Season 2 you can kind of start off on if you just look up a little bit of the backstory. Or if you're looking for like a fun action adventure, the Kelvin timeline movies are great. If you're looking at a good entry point in the movies and the original characters, Voyage Home, Star Trek The Voyage Home, the fourth Star Trek movie, is a great way because I think that's like cool sci-fi ideas, but also really funny and interesting. So The Voyage Home is a great starting point. If you're down for quirky weirdness in your Star Trek and having it be a little bit dated but still interesting, the original series, that's wherever most people started. But if you want it to be a little bit more updated, the Next Generation. I think those are probably the best places I would recommend to start. I would either say the original series if you're looking for something, if you're fine with going all the way back. Next Generation if you want something a little bit more modern, but understand even at starting of the Next Generation, it's a little bit rough at the start. If you're looking for things modern, then Kelvin or Discovery, I think are really good starting places for you. So those are the 4 or 5 places that I would recommend. And Homebody, I'm so sorry. You did a super chat earlier, and I was ranting about something, so I wanted to say thank you. Thank you, Homebody. I appreciate that. So sorry that I forgot to say thank you. I really appreciate that. And you said your contribution is small. Any contribution is greatly appreciated. It's like I said, whenever someone helps me out financially on this channel, I just really appreciate it. It really helps me right now. But just know that like you being here and you supporting my channel, you watching my stuff, that's what matters. Financial help, greatly appreciated. And like I said, will hopefully help me fulfill getting to be able to do this one day full time. But like I do this because I love doing it. And the important thing to me is making content that people watch and people enjoy. So that's all that matters. So don't ever feel bad if you can't contribute or anything like that. What matters is that you're here, we're having fun together, we're learning together, and that's the important thing. So don't get me wrong. Thank you for your support, and I really appreciate the financial stuff. Like I said, it means a lot. I cannot tell you how much it means. But never feel bad that you can't contribute. I see some people saying, like, I wish I could contribute and things like that. Take care of yourself first. That's what's really important. So thank you. It's appreciated. It means a lot. It really helps me. But just you being here is the most important thing. So that's all I'll say on that. Sorry talking about financial stuff always makes me slightly uncomfortable. So I just want to make sure I said that I make that clear. Because that's just, unfortunately, capitalism is fun and frustrating. So y'all got to deal with it. And so I appreciate the help. But anyways, I'm going to stop talking about that because financial stuff is financial stuff. And we're here to celebrate and have fun. And you might have seen the name of the thing there. I got into Star Trek through DS9. I think DS9 is my favorite Star Trek show. Like, period, hands down. Which is funny because I was just watching Babylon 5 earlier today, and I was like, man, Babylon 5 might be better than DS9. So it's like, oh, is like Babylon 5 better than all of Star Trek? I would even argue that it is. But DS9 is my favorite Star Trek. But it is a bit harder. I'm not saying you can't start there. Obviously, Mackenzie, you got into it through DS9, but it's a little bit harder just because there's a lot of like plot threads that are picked up from TNG, like characters that come in or like political dynamics that come in. So I think it's the best show, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it as a starting place. You can, totally, but I don't think it's the best one. It's not one I would recommend, even though I think it is the best show. Plus, I always think like you shouldn't start with the best. You should like work up to the best. So Chris IB, yes, be it. Babylon 5 is better than all Star Trek there. I said it. I would agree. In fact, I've made this argument before elsewhere. This might get me in trouble, especially on my channel here, but I think that for every Star Trek show that was on at the time, there is a better equivalent Star Trek show. And let me explain what I mean by this. So like DS9, I think the equivalent Star Trek show for DS9 is Babylon 5. And I think Babylon 5 is better than DS9. For Discovery, you have both the Orville, which I don't think is better than Discovery, but you have the Orville and you have the Expanse, and the Expanse I do think is better than Discovery. You also, for Voyager, you have Babylon 5 or Battlestar Galactica. But that being said, the reason that I like, and William Stewart, you're asking for my Star Trek pitch. I'll give you the brief one for that in a minute. But I want to finish this thought real quick. The reason that I like Star Trek so much is because its goals are different than those shows. and I kind of talk about it in the review, the video that I'm doing for Babylon 5, but the distinction between Deep Space Nine and Babylon 5 is that they both kind of have similar goals, and that they're kind of this darker space station thing. But Babylon 5 is a little bit more... Let me put it this way better. Star Trek has this ideal of a future of humanity that is brighter and better, and aiming for a positive future. And Deep Space Nine deconstructs that. But it can only deconstruct it because it's been a thing that was constructed. Star Trek is a place that is supposed to be this brighter future, and then it gets deconstructed. And so I think that deconstruction is worthwhile within the context of Star Trek, and Deep Space Nine could only have done that because it is a Star Trek show. When you look at Babylon 5, it doesn't have that. It doesn't have that ability to like deconstruct the Star Trek ideal because it's its own thing. And same thing with Discovery and Picard for a degree. Like, a lot of people complain like Discovery and Picard are too dark and I don't like it. But I think a lot of people reacting to that, like it's not as good as that. But I think those shows only work because they are deconstructing Star Trek. They are deconstructing Star Trek, and I think that's what makes them more powerful. Like, Discovery as a show, I don't think the season 1 especially wouldn't have been as powerful if we didn't know what Star Trek was supposed to be. And so Discovery took this idea of this brighter future and then deconstructed it in a way that says like, but how do we hold ourselves to that ideal? If we fail, like we are going to fail at reaching this brighter humanity. So when we do, how do we hold ourselves accountable while also still trying to reach for it? And so I think that that's something that only Star Trek can do. So while I think there are shows that are objectively better than Star Trek, I think that Star Trek is unique because of its long history, because of its expressed goals, and because of even where it fails in those goals. I think that Star Trek has an ability to say things that other shows just inherently can't. And so that's why I think it's more unique. So 2 questions that I want to ask. Lorcan Nagel asked, least worst Babylon 5 spinoff. Babylon 5, I thought Babylon 5 only had one spinoff, and that was Crusade, right? I liked Crusade. I thought Crusade was a strong show that sadly just got kind of kicked out. So I'm surprised that there was a... is there another one? I know there was like Legend of the Rangers, which was like a pilot movie they did that didn't do well. And it's been a while since I watched it, so I don't really remember it too well. So I think Legend of the Rangers is supposed to be a show, but it didn't make it, so it was kind of like made into a movie. So... Oh, and there are Lost Tales. You are correct. That was like a movie that they did, like a short film they did relatively recently. I can't speak to Lost Tales. I need to rewatch Babylon 5. It's really the long and short of it. It's been over a decade since I watched Babylon 5. So I just watched the pilot today, and I'm probably just going to go through the whole show at some point in the next few weeks. I'll probably do some videos on it. You'll definitely see a review of the pilot of Babylon 5, and then as I watch Babylon 5, you'll probably see me doing more videos on it as I go through it. All right, sorry, I just need to take a breath because I've been ranting for a minute there. What would you want more, Babylon 5 reboot or a Mass Effect TV series? This Glorious Clockwork. Mass Effect TV series. Babylon 5, I think it's fine as is and doesn't need to be rebooted. And I think just a Mass Effect show I think would be a lot of fun, and you could do some interesting stuff. I mean, even to a degree, Star Trek Picard is kind of doing a Mass Effect thing. Someone asked for my Star Trek pitch. I don't want to go too deep into my Star Trek pitch. Also, Pedro, I see your question. I'll get to that in just a second. I don't want to get too deep into my Star Trek pitch just because I do live in LA and it may never happen. It probably won't happen, but there is a minor part of me that's like, well, maybe I could pitch my Star Trek show one day. But to give you, I have 3 basic ideas. I have 3 pitches for a Star Trek show. One is West Wing in Star Trek world. So a Star Trek show that was a West Wing type politics show. So it would follow the Federation president, like her first term in office. And you sort of follow her through her term in office, kind of dealing with all the political stuff and dealing with like the Federation Council and trying to get things off the ground. I think that would be really, really great. To see like a positive political show right now. Not one that's like mired in cynicism. But still like showing the rough and tumble of politics. So that's one. 2 would be a show that shows Starfleet. This one would be set like 300 years after Picard. So like the 26th, 27th century, something in that vicinity. And the Borg attack, like 100 years prior. So this is all backstory. It wouldn't necessarily be in the first episode, but 100 years prior to the start of the show, the Borg attack almost basically devastated the Federation, almost destroyed everything. And the result of that is Starfleet became much, much, much more overtly militaristic. They became so focused on being a military organization that they kind of became a little bit fascist. And I know, see, my Star Trek's dark. But so so that happened, and because of that, the Federation fell apart. And this is, I think, Star Trek Discovery is kind of good. I came up with this before Star Trek Discovery, by the way. But Star Trek Discovery may steal some of this idea. But so it became super militaristic. They defeated the Borg, but the Borg basically devastated the Federation. The Federation fell apart because it became much more militaristic and fascist. And so you've had this Earth that's been, for 100 years, has been a solo entity, has become very isolationist and very secluded from everyone else. Skip forward to where the series starts. Our main character is a captain who is a half Andorian, half human. So she's a half-breed, like Spock. And so she's lived in a society of humanity that hasn't always accepted her. But humanity finally wants to start going out into the stars again and restarting Starfleet. And saying, we want to recreate the Federation. We want to own up to our mistakes and try to be better. And so they give this captain, this half-breed, I hate using that word, but they give this biracial, bispecies character, they make her the captain, and they send her off into space to say, go try and restart negotiations with everyone. So it's a show that's basically about this ship trying to recreate the Federation again, and also trying to atone for the mistakes of humanity. And then what that show would do is allow us to rejigger the politics of Star Trek. So like, maybe the Klingons aren't a dominant race anymore. Maybe the Klingons are now a slave race and have been beaten by somebody else. So I think you could just like play with the politics of the Star Trek world a little bit with that, like change up, like shuffle the deck a little bit, and also like kind of talk about a lot of like issues that we're dealing with today. Like, how do we hold ourselves accountable for mistakes that, if Star Trek and the Federation is like sort of a playing out of American and Western ideals, how do we hold ourselves accountable because American and Western ideals have obviously failed us in a lot of ways. All right, so yeah, that's my Star Trek pitch for the most part. Sorry I ranted for so long. Hope everyone found that interesting. Would my Federation president be human? Asked Robert Blee. Sorry if I said your name wrong. But yeah. McQueen fan, Federation president would be human. Yes, I think so. I might do an alien, but I think human, as human-centric as it is, the fact that there's no other aliens that actually exist, I think it's fine to make your main character human. I would like to see an alien captain. Like, I hope Saru gets to be the captain in Discovery, but... Also, McQueen fan 73, sorry, I missed your super chat earlier. Thank you for giving the super chat. I really appreciate that. Congrats on the milestone. Do you honestly there'll be a second season of Star Trek Picard? I think so. They've announced it. I think the only thing that would prevent Star Trek Picard from season 2 from happening, because I think they're already working on it. They already announced it, and I think they already started writing it. So it's definitely going to happen with the asterisk of, like, how do we know anything's going to happen after this current world crisis? So if everything works out with the current world crisis, I think we'll definitely see Star Trek Picard season 2. It's just sort of like I'm being as definitive as I can be in that nothing can be definitive in the world we live in right now. So, Christy Abby, I'm curious why you don't have mods on your stream. The only reason I don't is because generally my streams have been small enough that I can kind of moderate it as I go. But I probably should actually make you. In fact, Christy, if you want to be a mod, you're welcome to be a mod. Actually, can I make you a moderator? Christy, you're going to be a moderator right now. So, you're now a mod. Don't abuse the power. But it's actually probably a good move to make you a mod. Vulcans you'd like to kiss, all of them. There's not a single Vulcan I wouldn't want to kiss, except for maybe like logic extremists. I think, sorry, I should have promoted you off screen, but you made a good point. And I probably, there's a few people that I know I see a lot in my, in these streams. I might make some of you a moderator. So I might be reaching out to all of you. So, Just because I know you're good people. I talk to you regularly, and that's not a judgment on anyone else. I just see people regularly on the streams, so I know that they're good. That I can trust them. Hey Wellington, hi, how are you? Is Never Kiss a Logic streams the same as Never Kiss a Tori? Probably. T'Pol and Picard wearing actual Vulcan clothes. Yes, that'd be great. I mean, I would. I'm doing a video. In fact, I'm actually gonna show you guys something. So, give me a hot sec. If you will allow me a little bit of an indulgence here. I mean, it's my YouTube channel, so I guess all of it is an indulgence. But T'Pol is a character I really want to come back, and actually, I made this today. I'm doing a video that's coming out on my channel in a couple weeks. And I made this. Give me a second. So this is the thumbnail for an upcoming video I'm doing. And you can kind of see a certain character right there that I really want. So there you go. So yeah, I would love to see T'Pol back on Star Trek. Sadly, I don't know if we ever will get Jolene Blalock back on Star Trek, because Jolene Blalock, unfortunately, and this is actually a video I'm already writing right now, is Jolene Blalock, sorry, Christy, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. Jolene Blalock is an actress who kind of got shafted. She kind of got mistreated a lot on Enterprise, as a lot of women did. I mean, I did a whole video on it, but Jolene Blalock in particular, she kind of got a lot of crap thrown at her on Star Trek Enterprise, which is unfortunate. And so I really would like to see her get a second chance. And T'Pol is one of my favorite characters on that show, but I just think she didn't always get her due. And so I just don't think we'll ever get to see... I don't think Jolene Blalock could ever come back to Star Trek. I might be wrong. I mean, new people Rick Berman isn't in charge of Star Trek anymore, so we might actually get to see a return for T'Pol if Kurtzman managed to convince her to come back. I mean, he managed to convince Jerry Ryan to come back, but I don't know if we'll ever see T'Pol back on the show, which is sad. But you never know. You never know. I also would love to see Ezri Dax on Picard. My bet is we're probably going to see Dax in Discovery. If I had to place bets, since I know we're going back to Trill in Star Trek Discovery, Season 3, I would make a bet that we'll see Dax in Star Trek Discovery Season 3. I don't know if we'll ever see Ezri again. Nicole Dubois, I think, would be a fantastic... I'd love to see her return in Picard, but I think we will definitely see Dax in Discovery. It won't be Ezri, obviously, because it's so many years ahead. Oh, Pedro, I'm so sorry. You did ask that question earlier, and I will answer that. So, Jesse Gender, Star Trek Fenris Rangers, Nova Squadron, Garrick, or Titan and the Rikers? I don't know what Nova Squadron is. I might be missing that. So tell me if Nova Squadron. Garrick could be interesting. I don't know if you could make a whole show around Garrick, just because I think he works better as a side character. I don't think you can make a whole show around him. I mean, he would be a great appearance in a Section 31 type show if the Section 31 show is in the 24th century. But I don't think you can make a whole show around Garrick. Fenris Rangers, I could see. I think I would like that because it'd be a more civilian-focused side of Star Trek, and you get 7 of 9, obviously, and I think you could add Rode Laren into that. Rode would be a great character to have play off of 7 of 9. So I think Fenris Rangers would be good. Star Trek Titan, number one, they already did a book series on that, and I love the book series because it has one blanking on his name, the Vulcan on Star Trek Voyager. Oh my gosh. Oh, I hate myself. Why am I blanking on Tuvok? Jeez. Oh my gosh. He was on the Titan, so I'd love to watch a Titan show where it was a Star Trek Titan show would essentially just be a Star Trek show. They go off and do adventurous things. It just was with the Rikers. So if I was kind of going for what I think a Star Trek show would be, Titan would be the obvious choice. If I was going to try and take a little bit more of a risk, then I think I would go with Fenris Rangers, because I think that would be a much more risky proposition, and I always like taking risks with shows, do something different. And someone just reminded me, so Nova Squadron was the group from the first duty with Philip Locarno Obviously, the proto Tom Paris. That would be interesting. And I think that would just be like a Starfleet Academy show, which I think is actually rumored to be in production or in pre-production at the very least. So I wouldn't necessarily name it Nova Squadron. I would call it like Star Trek Starfleet Academy. But yeah, you could totally do that. I think that would also work very well. That one I would aim at like younger kids. If I was thinking about how to do that show, I would aim at like a younger audience show, like a, high school age kind of kids. Is where I'd aim Nova Squadron show. But if I was going to do one, I think I'd probably pick Fenris Rangers. Did you already hear that Robert McNeil and Garrett Rang would love to return with the Captain Proton holodeck episodes? Yes, I did see that. And oh my gosh, that'd be so much fun. Like do a faux, Captain Proton episode or like a movie or whatever. That would be so much fun. I would love the crap out of that. Yeah, Nova Squadron, like the New Mutants. Yeah, it'd be kind of like that. Except for New Mutants, I think is supposed to be like a horror tinged thing. But I don't know if that would be, yeah. Kara Hark. Ah, shoot. One sec. I kicked my Irish cream. Oh no. Apologies, people. You can still hear me, right? Thankfully, the glass is mostly empty. Don't judge me. Apologies for that. Thankfully, the glass is basically empty, so it's not a big deal. What was I talking about? I forget what I was talking about. Oh, Kara Harkins says, I think he played him as gay. Garrick was played as gay in the DS9 documentary. He said, yep, yeah, they said that they knew Garrick was gay. He played him as gay. Ira Stephen Bear knew he was gay. They just never made it explicit, which is kind of sad. Seal asks, if you could pull a Trials and Tribulations with reckless time travel, taking the Discovery cast back to a TNG DS9 Voyager episode to interact and intercut with, what would it be? Ooh, interesting proposition. So basically you're asking if I could go back and like have a time travel episode that like hit upon like a big moment in Star Trek history, what would it be? So there's two answers to this question. There's the one that's like, oh, what would I pick as like, if I was the producer of a show, if I was like, this is my job, I have to like try and sell the show, what episode would I pick? So it'd have to be an episode that like most people in culture would know, just so that like it wouldn't be too niche for audiences that they could pick up on. And so in that vein, it would probably have to be a Next Generation episode. And I'm trying to think of like, it would probably be, I would have the Discovery go back to Best of Both Worlds and maybe be like involved in like get wibbly wobbly timey wimey. And this is something they did on the TNG Doctor Who crossover comic, which I also love, by the way. Someone asked that earlier, but I like that one. Have the Discovery get involved in the events of Wolf 359 and look cute as a Borg and everything. That's probably what I would do if I was like sitting there as like I'm the showrunner, I have to pitch an episode, that sort of thing. If I was trying to pick something that I would like to do just randomly, like if I could pick all of Star Trek, that is like I don't need to care about selling it to anybody. Let's see, who would I do? Let's see. It would be Oh, that would be interesting. This would be nerdy as all hell. I would do one of two things. I would do one, I would have them either go back, if I was trying to keep it simple, I would have them go back to Archer's speech in Star Trek Enterprise where he founds the Federation. So they would have to like prevent something weird from happening at that point, and then you can bring back Archer and hopefully like it'd be kind of a redo of These Are the Voyages from Star Trek Enterprise, but I think it'd be kind of fun to do that. And maybe they even maybe they save Trip at the last minute. They save Trip, like Trip's about to die, he's about to die in These Are the Voyages, and then they save him at the last minute. Sort of retroactively saves that scene in that episode. And hey, Council of Geeks, Irish Cream, you gotta join me. Come on, Council, you gotta have some Irish Cream with me next time. So I would do that. Or if I was going to be crazy, if I was just like, let's do something insane, I would actually have them jump around to different episodes. It'd be so difficult to do. But I do it like that episode of Star Trek Voyager where 7 and 9 is jumping to different points in Voyager's past. And I'd have like the Discovery crew just jump to random points. So like they jump to like Best of Both Worlds. Like, oh, we're in the middle of Wolf 359. Oh no. Oh, we got to get out of here. And so they jump to somewhere else. And they jump somewhere else and it's like, oh, we're in the middle of the Caretaker episode of Star Trek Voyager. Or they jump somewhere else and they're like in the middle of the Dominion War in Deep Space Nine. So it's just like they kind of jump around and you just get to see like a whole bunch of Star Trek stuff. But yeah, if I had to pick two, it would either be they jump to Best of Both Worlds or they jump to These Are the Voyages timeline. That would be how I would do it. Philip Hawkins, my wife finished off our Irish cream last night. How dare she? How dare she? I am angry. Jane Packard, Skipperella with the Lincoln. Hey, how are you? Welcome to the live stream. I haven't seen you on here. I know I see you on Twitter all the time, but I haven't seen you on the live streams as much. So, Discovery versus Borg wouldn't work. The Borg would just wipe out the Discovery unless you seriously depower the Borg, which would just be silly in my opinion. Yeah, probably. But you could maybe be like, oh, this is 3,000 years. They jumped 3,000 years in the future, so Discovery gets upgraded and things like that. So you could make it work. There's things you can do, or maybe that's part of the story. They like jump to Wolf 359 and Discovery's like, yeah, we cannot be here because we'll die, so we better get the hell out of here. Sam Duncan, if you could change one canon event in the timeline, what would it be? I mean, Trip's sort of the obvious answer. They kind of retroactively fixed that in the novels. I don't know if I would necessarily change anything in the timeline. I just, like a big event or moment, I don't think there's anything I would necessarily change. There's just things that I wish they had capitalized on better. Like, for example, like played out the conflict between the Maquis and the Starfleet crew on Voyager better. Or I would have even like killed Riker in the Thomas Riker episode and then have Thomas Riker stay on the show. That would have been an interesting development. And I know that was actually the original intention with that character, but they didn't follow through on it. So I don't necessarily know if I'd be like, this big event I would change just because it's so like ingrained in my mind now, even bad events. But I just think I would just change some things that they never really capitalized on. Change in timeline, reunite Prime and Kelvin. Ooh, that would be fun. I mean, I would love to. I wish we got to see more of the Kelvin timeline. I do hope we get at least one more movie in the Kelvin timeline because I do like that timeline. I like the idea of it at the very least of like it's the original series, but you can kind of shuffle. I like the idea of just shuffling the pieces, shuffling the chessboard a little bit. And the comics and novels have done a good job of this where they like show different events. Some like, oh, the Klingons and Romulans are in different places. The movies haven't really dived into that as much. And so I would really like to see more of the Kelvin timeline play out. Like maybe we get to see a Kelvin timeline Picard. That'd be kind of fun. I wouldn't do it now because Patrick Stewart's still around, but maybe in like 10 years, 5-10 years when Patrick Stewart's sort of done with Picard, we get a Picard Kelvin timeline show or something like that. So I would kind of enjoy that. Miguel, congrats on your 10,000 subscribers from Venezuela. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Oh, thank you, Council. I really appreciate that. Doctor Who, Star Trek crossover. Which Doctor and crew? Ooh, okay. Ooh. Oh, this is hard, because I can tell you what my favorite crews would be. Like, my favorite Doctor is David Tennant, the 10th Doctor. I know, Council, you're not the biggest fan of the 10th. Not that you hate him or anything, but I know he's not one of your favorites. But for me, he's my favorite. And if I had to pick, I'd be like Deep Space Nine as the crew. But I'm just like, would that mashup work? Actually, now that I think about it, that would actually be a really fun mashup because David Tennant always had that like arrogance to his Doctor. Like he was the sort of more arrogant Doctor and kind of a darker tinge Doctor than the rest of them. Except for maybe like early season 1 Capaldi. So I think it would be kind of fun to see a Deep Space Nine 10th Doctor crossover. That would actually be, I think that would be a ton of fun if I had to think about it. I don't know what the plot would be, but I think that his sort of arrogance, like David Tennant's sort of arrogant Doctor, would play really, really well in a very like, you would see the sparks fly between David Tennant and Cisco. I think that would be so. Oh, now I'm imagining the possibilities. I don't know what the like I said, I don't know what the spark would be, but it would be so much fun just to see like David Tennant and Cisco kind of butt heads at certain moments. And then I could also see like David Tennant having fun with Quark. Like Quark's always money focused, and David Tennant just doesn't care. Or the Doctor just in general just doesn't care about money. So he's like, yeah, here's some tons of gold pressed latinum. I don't care. I can get whatever. And Quark's like, what? Oh, that would be so much fun. The Ninth Doctor would also work really well with Deep Space Nine as well. And Kirk, Homebody says Kirk in the Ninth would work really well. That would be fun. I would just like to see Christopher Eccleston back ever. So hopefully he'll come back at some point. I know, Council, you just did a video, I think, on the recent Doctor Who announcements they did, like Time Lord Victorious and possibly Christopher Eccleston coming back, which would be great. But yeah, I think if I had to pick one, I would say 10th Doctor and Deep Space Nine. Not just because those are my favorite. 10th Doctor and Deep Space Nine are my favorite Star Trek shows and Doctor. But I think it would be fun just to see those two. I think those crews would bounce off of each other a lot of fun. See, David Tennant, I think, would have fun in Quark's bar. But Eccleston, I think, would like get angry in Quark's bar. Like Eccleston would like be enjoying Quark's bar. The Ninth Doctor would be enjoying Quark's bar. Whereas David Tennant would like kind of be like poking fun at it. So I think that'd be a sort of fun dichotomy there. I need to, Christy, I love the Eighth Doctor canon radio plays. I've listened to a few of them. I listened to Dark Eyes, and I want to see here. My problem is I'm a completionist. So if I listen to one thing, I need to listen to all of them, and I need to listen to all of them in order. Like I said, with Babylon 5, I watched it, and I had to watch every spinoff, every movie. I can't do anything halfway. I have to finish everything, even if it's bad. Like, even if there's, like, a show that's like, this is mostly great except for this one episode or season that you don't need to watch as bad. It's like, nope, I have to watch all of it, play all of it, even the bad ones. So when it comes to the Eighth Doctor audio dramas, it's like, oh, I want to listen to them, but there's so many that I just need to start at the beginning, and it's just like, oh, that's a project to undertake. So I know you're allowed to, like, it's Doctor Who, you can skip around, but it's just hard for me to skip around. And I know they're on Spotify too. I should just do it. Should just jump on it. And I'm gonna go for another about 10 minutes just because my voice is getting a bit sore. So apologies if I might cut out a little bit, but my voice is getting a little bit tired. So for ranting for so long. So I'll stick around for 10 more minutes. There was a question I was just answering. Here's a Star Trek question. You're going to Risa. As we all know, no one ever gets to Risa unscathed. What happens to you en route? Oh, gosh. Oh, it would have to be something funny. I would like have all my... I know Risa doesn't take money, but it'd be like all my money gets taken or like a deep possession, so I couldn't like focus on being like, oh, I need to get this thing back. I need to focus on getting this stuff back. So I think that would be good. Big Finish is designed to be largely standalone. If you can break that completionist streak, then start with anything written by Robert Sherman. I'll have to check it out. I know it's just like the way my brain works is blame. I don't like blaming Asperger's. So blame me having Asperger's is like someone's like I need to finish everything. I need to check every box off. So if I did it, I'd have to go through. But I will do it at some point. It's just a matter of when is the big question. Lorcan Nagel says, Farscape, yes or yes? Oh, I have to admit, I haven't seen Farscape. Don't hate me. Please don't. I love Ben Broder from his Stargate days. And I also know, I forget the actor, but she plays, Vash on Stargate SG-1. So I know both of them are Farscape alumni, but I never actually got around to watching Farscape. So don't hate me. Please don't hate me. Everyone's going to unsubscribe. I'll lose all 10K subscribers right here just because I don't watch Farscape. I do need to watch it at some point. So that's another one that's on the list. Excuse me. I know. I'm sorry, everybody. Don't hate me. I'm sorry. It was just one of those that I missed when I was younger. Everyone's getting upset at me. No. Everything I've seen of Farscape sounds interesting. So. Professor Frank, one reason why I can never get into Doctor Who is as a completionist. Ask B, I don't know where to start. See, that's why I also haven't touched much of the classic series Doctor Who, because, again, there's so much classic era Doctor Who, and so it's like, if I was going to do it, I have to start at The Unearthly Child and work all the way through. That's just how my brain works. If you do want to get into Doctor Who, I started with, the modern era of Doctor Who, and I've watched everything there, and I think that's it's definitely a doable feat to watch all of the modern era Star Trek, Doctor Who. And again, as Council mentioned earlier, Doctor Who is fairly standalone. I mean, there are continuing plot threads that go throughout the whole thing and like things that reoccur, but you can generally just like start wherever a new Doctor begins. Whenever a new Doctor comes into the show, you can probably just pick up there, and generally you'll be okay. There might be a few things here and there you might get confused on, but generally, pick a Doctor that you want to see. You can start there, and that's a good way to go. If you're looking for a place to like start as a completionist, you can start with Modern Era. And if you're like me, just avoid Classic Who, because you'll just get so mired in like, I need to finish everything. Yeah, 9th and 11th Doctors are both good places to start. They're both like the beginning of showrunners. You have Russell T Davies with the 9th, and then Stephen Moffat with the 11th. Peter Davison isn't quote unquote part of modern Who. I always feel like I haven't seen much of Peter Davison. I really haven't seen much of any of them, of the older Doctors. But I always feel like Davison was one that I would kind of have liked. Everything I've heard about Davison feels like he might be the classic Doctor that I would like the most. That's just me having not seen it and only kind of knowing a little bit about personality. But I think Peter Davison might be the one that I like even more than, say, Tom Baker, for example. Oh, thank you very much, Lighthousey, and I really appreciate that. Sending you love as well. Thank you. Oh, all right, everybody. If anyone has any last-minute questions or things to say, I will quick catch them. I think I'm going to wrap out just because I'm getting kind of tired and my voice is kind of hurting a little bit. So any last-minute things people want me to talk about, and like I said, I'm going to try and do these live streams every week. So if I don't catch your question or things here, just catch me next week, same time, same bat channel. Did you already watch Westworld? If so, what's your opinion on that series and who's your favorite character? I have seen all of Westworld. I will say season 3 I was kind of disappointed in. I think if you like Westworld and you were kind of disappointed in season 3 of Westworld, watch Devs. I'm doing a video on Devs, but a lot of the ideas explored in season 3 of Westworld are also explored to a much better degree on Devs. And it's also it's an 8-episode miniseries. It's only one season. The story completes after 8 episodes, and it's by one of my favorite directors, Alex Garland, who did Annihilation and Ex Machina. So if you are disappointed in Westworld but like those ideas, watch Devs. And I actually just finished editing a video about Devs last night. That video won't be coming out until I think the end of this month or early next month, but I do have a 30-minute video on Devs and Ex Machina that'll be coming up on later on this month. All right. I will say, and I agree, I will say, as much as I didn't love the ending of Westworld, I did like Dolores' sort of moment, without spoiling. I thought that hit me hard, but that was about the only thing that worked in the end there. All right. Everybody, I know everyone's repeating, saying congratulations on 10K. I know I do this every time I sign off, but I think it's really, especially right now, all of you, thank you so much for helping me get to 10K. When I started this, I started doing this like regularly about a year ago, and I didn't expect to get to this point at all. I was just doing it for my own joy and trying to create things that made me proud. And the fact that I've been able to make stuff that has connected with people, and that you guys support me, and that you guys got me to this milestone, it means a lot. And thank you so much. I said it at the top of the stream, but thank you, all of you. You guys are lovely and wonderful, and I'm very proud of having such a really kind and absolutely wonderful audience and loving audience. So thank you to everyone. I love all of you, and thank you again. Don't forget there's a video coming out this Friday that I did with some people that might be in this stream that I'm very, very excited for. So check out this video this Friday, and I will catch you all next week on the next live stream. So sending love, and have a good night. And as always, live long and prosper, and I love you all.